Okay, let's just jump right in. Imagine you could take a picture of an entire city. Just freeze it, exactly as it was almost 2,000 years ago.
Then you could just step right inside that picture.
Exactly. Well, that city is real. It's Pompeii. And it's probably the most incredible time capsule in the world. It shows us, exactly how ancient Romans lived.
It really does. And the tragedy of it all is what makes the history so incredibly clear. We're looking at this really vibrant Roman city in southern Italy.
It was in the perfect spot, right? Right near the Bay of Naples.
A perfect spot. The geography was everything for
It
them.
wasn't just a beautiful place to live. It was booming economically. And that was because of the soil.
Right, the volcanic soil.
Yeah.
Which sounds dangerous now, and obviously it was. But for centuries, all that ash and those minerals made the land unbelievably fertile.
Perfect for growing things like grapes and olives.
And that's what made Pompeii so wealthy. It was this huge hub for agriculture and for trade. Thousands of people were packed inside those city walls.
So let's go back. Let's go to 79 AD, before everything changed. What was a typical day like? How did it even start?
It started early, really early. Most people were up at sunrise.
To get the most daylight, I assume?
Exactly. You have to remember, no electricity. Once the sun went down, life slowed way, way down, unless you were rich enough for a lot of oil lamps, so you didn't waste daylight.
And breakfast wasn't a big deal like it is for us.
No, not at all. It was super light, super quick. Maybe a piece of bread, maybe dipped in some wine or water, some fruit if it was around. Then you were straight out the door.
And from there, everyone had their role.
Very defined roles. The men, especially the ones with some status, they would head straight to the forum.
That's the main town square.
Right, that's where all the business deals, the political talk, all the important meetings happened.
And the women.
The women were basically the CEOs of the household. They managed all the daily tasks. They supervised any domestic servants. They kept the whole, complex machine of a Roman home running smoothly.
And the kids were already heading out, too.
Yep, their morning commute began. If your family had money, you were off to school to learn to read and write. If not, you were likely starting an apprenticeship.
Learning a trade, like metalworking or pottery.
Exactly. So the streets would have just been noisy, crowded, full of energy.
I can just picture it. People rushing around, shops opening their shutters right onto the street selling fresh bread and vegetables.
It was loud, immediate energy. And that energy was fueled by their food.
Yeah.
Which tells a huge story.
The classic Mediterranean diet, right?
The absolute classic. It all relied on grain, wine, and olive oil.
Now, I heard they didn't really do lunch in the same way we do.
No, lunch was very simple. Maybe some cold meat, leftover vegetables. You'd eat it quickly while you were still working. But dinner was a totally different story.
That was the main event.
It was a main event. Eaten late in the afternoon. It was a big social activity. A time to relax, get the family together, talk about the day.
Okay, so if the food was pretty simple, how do they make it taste good? I heard they had a secret ingredient.
Ah, yes. The culinary secret of the entire Roman world. Krum.
Which was a fermented fish sauce.
It was. And yeah, the recipe sounds a little strange to us today. They would layer fish guts, salt, and herbs, and just let it all ferment in the sun for months.
Wow, that sounds intense. Why was it so popular?
Think of it like ancient umami. You know, that deep, savory flavor?
Like soy sauce or something.
Exactly. It was a flavor enhancer. They used it on almost everything, sweet or savory. It was also a luxury item. Good garum was a real status symbol.
And besides the fish sauce, the local produce was amazing thanks to that soil.
Incredible grapes and figs.
Yeah.
And a lot of houses had their own little gardens for herbs like parsley and mint.
And if you wanted to buy anything else, you went to the forum.
Straight to the forum. It was the absolute physical and political heart of Pompeii.
So describe it for us. It wasn't just a market square.
Oh, no. It was this massive open space. Imagine your local mall and city hall combined. It was surrounded by the most impressive government buildings, the law courts, and the biggest temples.
And I love this detail. It was a pedestrian zone.
Mostly, yeah. Carts and horses were generally not allowed in. They kept the space clear for people and for business. You'd have vendors setting up stalls, selling everything from, cheap pots to expensive imported spices.
It was also the city's news source.
It was the internet of its day. Public notices, election news, all of it was just painted or posted right on the walls for everyone to read.
But what if you were busy? What if you didn't have time for a big family dinner?
Well, the Romans kind of invented fast food for
A
that.
thermopolia.
Exactly. The name literally means a place where hot things are sold. They were ancient takeout joints, and Pompeii had dozens of them.
And their design is so fascinating. You can still see them, these big stone counters with huge jars built right into them.
Those are called dolia. And they were used to keep food and drinks warm. People who lived in small apartments without kitchens could just walk up, buy a hot bowl of stew or some wine, and be on their way.
So Pompeii was really a city of small businesses.
Hundreds of them. You had workshops making metal tools, pottery, glass.
Right.
And then you had really specialized services, like the fullers.
The clothes cleaners.
Right, and this wasn't just washing. They used these huge stone vats and chemicals, including urine, believe it or not.
Wow. Okay. I guess it worked.
It was a great leaching agent. And to be efficient, these business owners almost always lived right above or behind their shop.
And they advertised by just painting on the walls outside?
Yep. Painted what they sold right on the wall. It just shows you how dense and bustling this city was, which, makes you wonder how they managed it all. The infrastructure had to be good.
It was actually pretty advanced. The streets were all paved with these massive flat stones.
And if you look at them today, you can see these deep ruts worn into the stone from all the heavy cart traffic.
But they had this brilliant solution for keeping your feet clean.
Right, because all the rainwater and the waste flowed along the sides of the streets, so you didn't want to step in that.
So they built these raised stepping stones at the crosswalks. They look like big stone lily pads.
That's a great way to describe them. You just hop from stone to stone to get across the street without getting your feet wet. It's so clever.
And water was key. Public fountains were everywhere.
Almost at every street corner, providing fresh water for everyone. Only the super, super wealthy had lead pipes that brought water directly into their homes from the main reservoir.
And when it was time to get properly clean and maybe socialize a bit, you didn't do it at home.
No, you went to the public baths.
Which was so much more than just a bath. It was like the gym, a spa, and a coffee shop all rolled into one. People spent hours there.
The complexes were huge. They had rooms with hot water, warm water, cold water. But before you even bathed, you'd exercise in these big courtyards.
Wrestling, playing ball games.
Exactly. It was the main place to catch up on gossip, make business deals, and just, see and be seen.
And the heating system they used was an engineering marvel, the hypocaust. How did that work?
It was genius, really. They raised the floors up on these little brick pillars. Then slaves would keep these huge wood fires going in a furnace.
And the hot air would circulate underneath.
Right. The hot air and smoke would flow under the floor and then up through hollow spaces in the walls. It radiated heat, keeping the rooms and the water warm. It's an incredibly sophisticated system for 2,000 years ago.
And the cleaning process itself was different.
Very different. Slaves would rub you down with olive oil and then use this curved metal scraper called a strigil to scrape off all the oil, dirt, and sweat.
So that was public life. But at home, things look very different depending on how wealthy you were.
A night and day difference. The wealthy homes were magnificent. Huge multiple rooms, beautiful mosaic floors, and the walls were covered in these colorful paintings.
Murals of nature or mythology.
Yes, and the key feature was the atrium. This open courtyard in the center of the house that let in light and collected rainwater in a pool. It was a huge symbol of your wealth.
And for the poor.
It was a much different story. Small, dark, crowded spaces. Often just a single room above a shop or tucked into a back alley. Furniture was simple, mostly wood.
Moving from the home to citywide entertainment, Pompeians loved a good show.
They absolutely loved spectacles. They had this massive stone amphitheater that could hold thousands of people.
And that's where the big events happened, like gladiator fights.
Gladiator fights were the main draw. But they also had these elaborate wild animal hunts, bringing in exotic animals from all over the empire just for the show.
And the seating chart was a big deal.
A huge deal. Your seat was strictly based on your social status. The rich and powerful were down in the front. The poor were way up at the top. It was a very visible reminder of the social hierarchy.
But a lot of these events were free for the public.
They were, and that was pure politics. A wealthy citizen or a politician would pay for the whole spectacle. The gladiators, the food to win popularity and votes. It was a massive PR campaign.
And underneath all of this, the business, the entertainment was religion.
Religion was central to everything. They were polytheistic, so they had many gods and goddesses for every aspect of life. They honored them in these huge, beautiful public temples.
But it was also very personal, right, in the home?
Deeply personal. Every single home had a small shrine called a lorarium. That's where the family would pray to their household gods and their ancestors for protection.
So we have this picture of a thriving, complex, loud, and very organized Roman city. And then in 79 AD, the clock just stops.
It all came to a sudden, catastrophic end. Mount Vesuvius, which everyone thought was just a mountain, exploded with incredible force. First, this giant cloud of ash and smoke just blasted miles up into the sky.
And then that ash started to fall back down.
Right. But it was small, light pieces of volcanic rock pumice. It just rained down on the city. That was the first phase. A lot of people fled then, running toward the sea.
But not everyone got out.
No. For those who stayed behind, maybe hiding in their homes, the pumice just kept piling up. Meters deep, it blocked doorways, trapping people inside.
And then came the deadliest part.
Then came the end. A pyroclastic surge. This superheated, toxic cloud of gas and ash rushed down the mountain at hundreds of kilometers an hour. It was instantly lethal. It buried the city completely in a matter of minutes.
And Pompeii was just gone,
Yeah.
wiped off the map and forgotten for over 1,700 years.
And that's the great paradox. Because that instantaneous burial didn't just destroy the city, it perfectly preserved it. When archaeologists started digging, they found everything just as it was.
The buildings, the art, the pots on the shelves.
Exactly. It gives us this unbelievably clear window into their daily lives that we just don't get anywhere else.
And then there are the most famous discoveries, the plaster casts.
Yes, those are the most moving, I think. As the bodies of people and animals decayed inside the hardened ash, they left behind these perfect hollow voids.
And archaeologists figured out they could pour plaster into those empty spaces.
Yeah, and when they chipped away the ash, they were left with a perfect cast. A statue of a person or an animal, frozen in their final moment. It's haunting, but it's such a powerful connection to the past.
So visiting the site today is literally like walking back in time.
It is. A single awful event that, ironically, gave us the clearest historical lesson we could ever ask for about life in the Roman Empire.
It's an incredible story. So as you learn more about this, think about this. What would the everyday objects in your life, your phone, your backpack, maybe your lunch, what would they tell someone about our world if they were dug up 2,000 years from now?
That's the real lesson of Pompeii. A complete world just waiting to be explored. Good luck with your studies.